Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Welcome, my name is Aiden. I'm so happy that you are here. I'm having another palette roundup. It's all the palettes that I wore in the past month or so. And yes, some of these are older palettes. Part of this is seeing what I still like and would use in my collection, hopefully inspiring you to try out some of your older palettes that you might have forgotten about. But also, I have some newer palettes in here that came out in the past couple months, basically. A little over a couple months, but yes, some older ones, some newer ones. I know somebody left a comment that they were 10 years old. They are 10 years old. All of these are from when I started my channel, and I've only been doing my channel for like 5 years. So some of them might be old, but they're not super duper old. Anyway, and if they still work, they still work. That's the main thing. So what I have this go around is the Urban Decay Shadow Box. Then I have the Colourpop You Had Me at Hello. This is back from when I was trying to collect all of the Colourpop palettes, which was a ridiculous thing because then they went absolutely crazy. Then I have It's a Small World from Colourpop and Disney. My favorite, one of my favorite rides. Might be my favorite ride. Then I have Colourpop I Think I Love You. And speaking of Disney, this is like my little Mickey shirt. I got this at the outlet. I was very excited. Then I have Belle and Argent. This is Plum Premonition. That's very shiny. It's hard to see. Sorry if I blinded you. Then I have Colourpop Dream Street with Kathleen lights. I broke that boy out again. Then we have Jaclyn Strawberry Feels. Fairly new. I know it's not super new, but it's new to me. I just got it not too long ago and was trying out for the first time. And then I have the Colourpop Element of Surprise palette. So lots of Colourpop with a few others. Wasn't planned that way. I just was, you know, I had so many Colourpop palettes. It was inevitable that I would have a whole bunch of them at one point. And I still have a few more that I pulled to try out. And of course, like what I'm currently using is going to be in the next the next palette roundup. So see if you can guess what I'm wearing. Do the colors give it away? First palette up is the Urban Decay Shadow Box. This one, I don't remember where I got it. So anyway, I love the color story on this. This is like old school Urban Decay. You know, you got your grungy tones in there. You got a whole bunch of shimmers, and then you have one matte. That's matte black. The others are all shimmers, and they're beautiful. And I have other shadow boxes that are all like their shimmer formula, and I love them. I had the one with the chainmail kind of thing on the front. One of my favorite palettes of all time. But here we go. They are all swatched. You have 12 shades there. As you can see, the black started off really well, and then as the swatch went on, it just kind of faded away. I hope that it would work better like if you blended it out. I didn't blend any of these out. These were just one swatch down. So it does kind of blend out. It's a little patchy. It's not exactly, like I don't like black eyeshadows anyway. They're not something that I really reach for. I like color or neutrals. Black isn't really my jam. Being as pale as I am, I just look a little too gothic, and I was not a goth kid. I like emo music. You know, Fall Out Boy is one of my favorite bands, but wasn't really the one to dress like that. So all of the colors, they're really pretty. They swatch beautifully. I really liked these on my eye. There are, like, I've been looking back at some videos going, what was I wearing? And then I'm like, you know what? I was wearing like this shade and the blue. Like, I liked the looks because they're kind of smoky, but they, and even though the shimmer, they worked really well together. And I think it's really pretty. I love this shade and this shade and this shade. And the purple, like the peach was a little bit more chunky, but I think they're really pretty. I love the champagne. Just so many shades I really like. So some of them are your iconic scent or shades, not scents. You have Sin, Indo, Bordello, Tornado, Smog, Blackout, Flash, Mushroom, Lost, Free Love, Moonshadow, and Baked Cowboy. You know, you got some on there that are iconic shades, and it's really nice. This is the quality of color, Urban Decay that I really miss, and this is what I got into when I first got Urban Decay. And then I tried the Naked palettes and I was like, what is this? It's so different than like this formula. This is where you need to go. Come on back, Urban Decay. Give us some of this grungy kind of stuff again. Next up is Colourpop. This is You Had Me at Hello. And this is one of their 12 pan palettes, just like, I mean, the last one was 12 pans too. I don't know if I already said that or not. So you have 12 shades in here. This is a very kind of warm, neutral, kind of pinky, neutral palette. And I really like this one. The colors are right up my alley. There are, how many shimmers? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have equal shimmers and mattes with this, which is really nice. I like having kind of even, or I don't know. I like it if they can be even as possible and like a good range of shades. So you have a couple of darks, you have a couple mid-tones, and then most of the shimmers, I feel like you have a couple mid-tone shimmers and then you have some light ones. So this is like kind of my ideal palette in terms of the tones and how it, the colors that you get as well. This is what they all look like. Swatch. That one shade didn't swatch very well, so I was going to do a second swatch, but I wanted to show it to you unadulterated first run through. So I think it builds up. It can be a little tricky at first. So yeah, that one was a little tricky, but that's this shade right here. I really like the shades in here. This is a palette that I can definitely see myself wearing quite a bit. This is kind of a darker shimmer, but all in all, like the colors are really pretty. They are colors that I wore this one to work. The last one I didn't wear to work because the colors just are not very professional looking. And I try to, like, you would not see me in this green eye look when I was teaching, but this is definitely a palette that I would wear and enjoy while I was teaching, and I liked how long they lasted. Like, I got done at the end of the day and my eyeshadow looked just as nice as it did when I started out, and that struck me a lot because these colors were so pretty, and I was a little worried because this is an older palette. This is one of the first 12 pans that they put out. This is back when I was trying to collect them all, and then they went absolutely crazy, kind of like ABH did. And now I don't even really pay attention to Colourpop unless they're doing like a collab with something that I'm interested in. So I do like this one. I think this one is one of their better 12 pan palettes, and I wish they would slow down. I think most people would like Colourpop to slow down a little bit on the releases because it has gotten a little out of control. And speaking of Colourpop, we have one of their newer, well, I can't even say newer palettes because this came out in like late November. So it's old news now because it's Colourpop. So this is It's a Small World, and one of my favorite rides at Disney, both Disneyland and Disney World. Went to Disneyland when I was 6, and it was my favorite ride. And I really enjoyed it when I went a few years ago as well. So you have the little clock tower in there. And then, yes, I have the sheet on it because I don't want to get these shades on the white down here. So these are what the shades look like. You have some greens, you have some blues, you have some pinks, you have some reds, and then you have a row of like very light colors. They are very light. This is what they look like. And this green right here, that kind of aqua, I swatched that one twice there in between the blue and the purple shimmers. It does not want to really show at all. And then there is a shade here. It's very hard to see next to, there you go. So you can see, let's see if we can build up that turquoise or that aqua just a little bit. This is layer 3. So it has a little bit more presence, but it's still not crazy good. Would I recommend this palette? Not really. So there's some issues. Part of the issues are, that one shade that didn't want to like build at all. This one is not really it's like a chunky glitter. If you can see, I'm trying to get really close. I know the color kind of distorts, but can you see how it's like a base with glitter? I don't like that. I'd much rather have just a regular shimmer. Like a gold shimmer would have been so much more beautiful than that weird glitter. This is a Super Shock, so it is very malleable, and you can probably see like you have a good dent on those two because they don't want to pick up product, and they're definitely ones that I would use a fingertip for. I wouldn't use a brush, but these are more like the regular shimmer formula. So I like some of the colors. The dark blue, not my favorite, not a color I really think I look good in. I liked this quadrant over here, like that was really nice, but it's kind of all over the place. I mean, I guess it fits. I think the color story does fit with the ride, and I love the nostalgia of it because It's a Small World is such an iconic ride and just so much fun, but not the best palette that Colourpop has put out. Just kind of middle of the road, I feel. We are on to another Colourpop palette. It is this one right here that says, I think I love you, because they didn't put the name on the front. So, very neutral palette, very pretty. I like the tones in here. Like, there's a lot of shimmers. There's only 4 mattes in this palette though. So where we had kind of even earlier on, this is a very heavy shimmer palette. And here's what it looks like all swatched out. This one hardly has any presence at all. It's kind of in the middle there. I did not love this palette. One, I didn't like it because of the lack of mattes, and one of those mattes is a black. So you really have, you know, you're going to do the same kind of look. Brow bone, crease, outer corner, and then a shimmer or two. That was basically the same look. Also, the shimmers didn't perform as well as the shimmers in the other palettes that I've talked about so far. They look nice right now, but they wore away. They looked a little funky, like when I was putting them on. It didn't look the cleanest. It didn't look the most, I don't want to say professionally done, because I'm definitely not a professional makeup artist. Like, look at my makeup. But it looked very, like it didn't look good. They didn't look very good on me. So this is definitely one I will be decluttering. I think the colors in here were pretty, and there's a couple of shimmers that I really like. I like this, you know, I like that light kind of champagne-y shimmer. That's a color that I really like, but not my favorite palette. I don't think this was as good of quality as other ones that they've done, and they went way too heavy on the shimmers, in my opinion. 8 versus 4 is just too much. We are at our next palette, and this one is not as big as the other ones. This is Belle and Argent. This is the Plum Premonition, and this is only an 8-pan palette, so a lot fewer shades than the other ones. And with this, I'm not going to swatch all of these. I'm not swatching this one right here because this is just a chunky glitter, and it is like a chunky glitter, and it will get everywhere, and I don't want to cross-contaminate or anything, and it's just a mess, and I don't want to deal with it. And you know, if I could scrape out this pan, that would make me happy. So that's what the 7 shades look like. You have a light shade, you have 2 shimmers, then you have like 2 medium tones and 2 darker tones. And I really like this palette. The colors are really pretty. You can do like a very neutral type look with the gold and the 2 brown shades, or you can do a very plummy look with the dark purple and then these 2 right there. And it really is cohesive. It gives you 2 very distinct looks, and then you can mix and match them if you want to as well, which I did. The formulas are very nice. These are they're almost, they're very, I don't want to say they're creamy, but they're very soft and workable, which I really appreciate with this formula. I love the shimmers. I think, like, the first day I used this, I was like, oh my gosh, I did all the plums, and it just looked so pretty, and I felt pretty. And yeah, definitely a palette that I enjoy and that I like, and I wish they had more palettes that were similar color stories. Not like super similar, but the only other one I think I've seen from them was like super brown, and that's just not my type of colors. But I was really impressed with Belle and Argent with this palette, other than that stupid chunky glitter. No more chunky glitters, okay? The next palette is going to be the Dream Street palette by Kathleen and Colourpop. This one, interesting, something is happening. My shimmers are like sucking the color out of the packaging, which I thought was really weird. It's all of the shimmers, basically. Yeah, it's all of the shimmers. And I don't really know what's going on with that. So there are 5 shimmers with this palette. And that is what they all look like. So you have a couple blues, you have a brown, and then you have this bright kind of pink. And then the rest are pretty much shimmer shades in various shades. I mean, you do have a couple mattes down here too. So this is what they all look like swatched. This last one, you can barely see it right there. Get a little closer. So there's a light shift there, a light shimmer. Lots of fallout. Just notice all this fallout landing on my pants. Crazy. So I'm a little divided on this palette. I don't love the blues. I could live without the blue pops, which I know is kind of what makes this, and this is very much that time period where there was a neutral palette with a pop of blue and maybe a pop of color. That's the pink. But I do like the shimmers. I think the shimmers are very pretty. I like the other mattes in here, like the brown mattes. You can do some very basic looks with this. And even the blues I did use a little bit when I went to work. Not like a ton, but I think it's a pretty good palette. Is it one I would say go out and get? No, it's middle road for me. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's one I'm definitely going to keep because I do like it enough to keep it, but it's not one that I feel like was the best palette ever. I also have the Zodiac. That's going to be coming up at some point. I have it pulled, so we'll see how that one does. I like the palette. I love Kathleen Lights. Like, she's one of the bigger YouTubers that I follow. She's probably the biggest. But yeah, I like it. It's just, is it my favorite palette? No. Next palette is from Jaclyn Hill. This is the Strawberry Feels palette. I don't follow Jaclyn Hill. I don't really have much of an opinion on her at all because I've never really watched her. I know there's controversy. I don't know really what it was, but I know that the lipsticks that she released had a whole bunch of issues going on, and honestly, none of her colors really spoke to me in those, so I was safe. The only other thing that I have from Jaclyn Hill, I got a mini highlighter during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale, and that's actually the highlighter I'm wearing today. I think it's very beautiful, and I'm probably going to pan it this year, I think, because it's just kind of, I don't know, I feel like I've gotten a certain point of it, and I just want to keep going with it. So when I saw that they were doing a like 40% off of everything on Morphe and Jaclyn Hill, I ordered a couple things from Jaclyn Hill that I had been curious about, and they ended up being like 70% off, which is why I ordered them in the first place. I wanted this palette for two reasons. One, the name, Strawberry Feels. It's, you know, a play on Strawberry Fields, Strawberry Fields Forever. I love the Beatles, huge Beatles fan. I've been lucky enough to see both Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney in concert, and you know, John was dead before I was born, and I wasn't really like able to see George Harrison before he passed away. Like, I was alive, but not like, I wasn't going to concerts at that point anyway. Let's put it that way. So this is what the palette looks like. That was the other reason I loved the colors. I'm a pink girl. I love pinks, and this looks a little intense. It can be. So here we go. We have a stark white. You have that really pretty shimmer right there. That's kind of a pinky champagne. You also have this dark red shimmer there, and that's it. The rest are all mattes. So a very shimmerless palette basically, but you got a lot of other shades. The thing that surprised me about this palette is that I could make pretty neutral looks with this. I wore this on Super Bowl Sunday when I filmed, and if I can remember, I will put the video that I filmed that day up in the cards, because, you know, I think I did this shade and this shade, and then I had like a little in the outer corner, but it was a very neutral kind of look in all together. I've done some bolder looks with this one, obviously, because there are a lot of bolder pink shades in here. Is it the best quality? No, they're kind of, the shades are a little rough. I don't like the feel of rough. They blend out pretty good. Like if we look at we can blend some of these so you can kind of see how they work. Actually, they're not looking very blended at all. Maybe it's because I let them sit for a minute. They worked fine. Is it my favorite palette? No. Is it a decent palette? Yes. Would I have paid full price? No. For the 70% off, like maybe, 50% off, I still think it would have been worth it. But I wouldn't pay full price. I don't think it's worth full price. I think it's a nice palette. I think it's more versatile than one would think in the first place. It's getting a little dark. I'm running out of sunlight. Let me try to move my lights a little bit so. There. Hopefully you can see a little better. They were looking a little dark on screen. So I do like this palette. I think it is nice, but it's not really one that I would say that you missed much if you didn't get it. Although, who knows what's going to happen with everything shaking out. So I would say it's a nice one. It's my only experience with Jaclyn Cosmetics, so take that with a grain of salt as well. Last up, we have Element of Surprise by Colourpop. Can you believe we're finally at the end? This seemed to have taken forever, so maybe I should show you the palette first. So this is what it looks like. It kind of is all over the place. There is a beautiful purple shimmer in the middle. There's that beautiful hot pink. Then there's a whole bunch of random neutrals. You have like this sequin shade with is brown with the like glitter kind of particles in it, but it's a matte. You have a couple shimmers. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 6 mattes and 6 shimmers. If you want to count this hot pink as a shimmer, because it's more of like a satin formula. It's kind of weird. It's all over the place. I used this past week. I tried to use some of the purple in my look, and the purple was very pretty. Like that was nice. I kind of liked this one. This one's very, very light. It looks darker from far away, but like, and then this one is just, it's such a wash. Like I would have thought it would be so much darker because it looks like brown in the pan. That is that one right there. Doesn't really look like it. So this one was the most disappointing palette for me. I was really looking forward to it, especially with that pink and purple, because I really liked those. Those were my favorite 2 shades in the palette, but the pink isn't really one that you can wear to work, or at least I would feel comfortable wearing to work. It was okay. They're a little lackluster. I feel like this is right when they just started pumping out, and they kind of lost their way for a while. And I think the Element of Surprise is one of those palettes that got overlooked, wasn't thought out well enough. The formulas weren't really thought out as well either. And that's kind of disappointing because I do think this had potential, like, and I think you could do something fun with it, but I feel like it wasn't cohesive. The shimmers, just like this one is chunky. It like faded away throughout the day. Same with this one, it faded out as well. They looked pretty when I started, but it did not last throughout the day. So this is not a good one. This is not one that I would recommend. Before I go through the ranking, let me know where you think you would rank them. Let me know if you have any of these palettes as well. And let's start from 0 to number 1. All right, in last place is the last palette I just talked about, Element of Surprise. The formula wasn't great. The color story wasn't great. It just didn't last like I would want it to. They just were lackluster. So it is being decluttered. The other one being decluttered is in 7th place, and that is the Colourpop You Had Me, or I Think I Love You. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what titles are. Same thing, kind of faded throughout the day. Much better quality, I feel, than the Element of Surprise, but just not a palette that I would recommend or feel bad if you missed it. Next one is one I wouldn't recommend either. I am keeping it though because I will get some use out of it, and it's nostalgia. So it's a Small World, not as good as some of these older palettes, which is too bad because this is, one of my newer palettes, and I was so looking forward to this, and it was slightly disappointing. It worked pretty good. Like, it was okay, but it was not one that I would say you needed unless you're like a diehard Disney ride or Small World fan. Then At fourth place, or fifth place, right before the top four, we have Dream Street by Kathleen Lights and Colourpop. I like this one. I think the colors worked really well. The ones that I used, I don't love the two blues in here. They just don't speak to me, don't look especially good on me. So if they didn't have those, they had something else, it would have ranked higher for me. Which means in fourth place, I have Jaclyn Hill, the Strawberry Feels palette. I think this is a pretty decent palette. Not my favorite. Definitely have ones that I tried out during this round that I like so much more. But I think it's nice, and it was more versatile than I thought it was going to be when I first used it. So good on it. I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure what to expect, to be honest. Then we have Belle and Argent Plum Premonition. This would have ranked higher if it didn't have that chunky glitter in it. That's really the reason why it's in third place instead of in second or first place, because I love this. I love the formula of the 7 shadows that I used, and I loved the looks. I thought they lasted really well. I think it's a very solid palette. Just wish it didn't have that stupid chunky glitter. In second place, we are putting the Urban Decay Shadow Box. I thought this one might get decluttered because it's almost all shimmers except for that one matte black. But I liked the looks I created with it. I felt the formula worked really well. This is like the classic Urban Decay formula that I think most of us really loved. And yeah, a little grungy for my taste. That's why it's in second instead of first place. But the quality is definitely there. Which means You Had Me at Hello is number one. This is, when I pulled these palettes, I wouldn't, and this one has a mirror, the other ones don't. I would never have thought that this one would have been in first place. Nope, no way, no how. Pretty basic, pretty boring, pretty just blah. But it beat out all of the other palettes that we've tried this past month. And yeah, this is a really nice one. The shades, I really like the shades of it. I like the formula. Classic Colourpop, really nice quality. They need to keep up with this. So that's it for this round of palette reviews. Let me know how you think I did. Let me know if you think I should have decluttered more or not. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.